Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Jedi Granville Productions. I am Jedi Granville, and if you don't know by now, I am that dark, handsome fellow who terrorizes your neighborhood for some kind of reason. but it is kind of like way I put the fear of God into you. But joining me today is a Mister Daniel Miller of Dan Filming, and we call him the Professor because of such of his incredible wisdom years before his time. So we thank you for that. And we already got a oh wow, we already got comments here. It's like, okay, what's up, Jake? How are we
Hello,
doing?
Jake.
And
Hello.
I guess when I said that, I'll say, okay, that's what you meant by that. Okay, I figured that's what you meant. But thank you for joining me, Daniel, because this is, I feel, is a topic that you definitely wouldn't mind cutting into and
Mm,
discussing, which is the so-called disaster films of the 70s, which was a
yeah.
prime time, it was just a grand thing back here during the 70s. And
Oh, yeah.
there were total. I mean, let's be honest. There were so many other things coming out at this time. You definitely had a bunch of drama films, not
Hmm.
so much sci-fi. Sci-fi was kind of dying until Star Wars kind of picked it up and say, okay, we rehashed it and everything. But disaster films was still a staple thing back
Mm.
then. We know that Bond was on fire back in the 70s,
Oh,
and
yeah.
other films. I mean, we remember, some Planet of the Apes films were like flourishing a little bit after the '68,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
it was just like I said, it was just a mixed bag of things. And I feel that
Hmm.
you know it's wonderful knowing that you could take one particular genre and kind of throw in there and say, well, what was the kind of pinnacle films that kind of define the era of the 70s film wise, disaster wise. And personally for me, it runs the gamut. And when I did some looking up above this, it's like it was a mixed, like I said, I guess it was such a mixed bag of films that you can kind of pick out. But I say I'm gonna stick with the ones that I have here, which is 10 of them, and kind of do a discussion on them each by each piece and just kind of run through it. But overall, with disaster films, how do you, as a film goer, or well, I'm not going to say a film goer, a film aficionado, how do you feel about the category disaster films in your mind?
I think for me, I think how I would look at disaster movies, I look at it quite a number of ways. First way, I look at them as someone who loves movies. I see them as little gems of cinema because of course, production wise, how they were achieved, and even in terms of the special effects, like using miniatures. And of course, some effects have aged pretty well, some of them have not. Earthquake. For one particular scene in an elevator, which we'll get to later. If you've
Right,
seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Now, another way to look at them is sort of a way of, I guess, a way of some people. I'm not quite sure if this was intentional, but for some people, it was a way of facing fears of natural disasters on the big screen, like for instance, earthquake.
Right,
It's Earthquakes themselves; they're a very real occurrence.
right,
Even especially across the U.S., there are lots of fault lines, and everyone's watching seismographs at geology stations all around the country, and a lot of people are afraid of that. But seeing it on film, it's a way of saying, yes, now realistically, this could happen, but it's also exaggerated to a degree. I also like to see disaster movies as one of those boredom buster popcorn flicks, depending on which ones that you look at. There are also ones that have great nostalgia. For me, Earthquake being one of them, because that's one of the first
right,
70s movies I remember watching. Yeah, this
right.
one. An event. It definitely was an event. That is I got something else.
Mhm. Well, it's like I say, it's funny how you just have a film called Earthquake, and it's like
Mm,
it's a staple in so much of disaster films as it goes, you know.
yeah,
But it's as you say, it is an event. But then again, so many of these other films that we're going to talk about were events in their own set, you know, their own kind of unique way.
yeah.
So, but to kind of get us started, we're going to start with 1970s Airport, which
Oh, this one.
this is based on a novel by, if I can read it, I don't think I can read it, by I think Alan Haley, and it was the staple of the disaster films of the time. And I should actually tell people who are watching this,
Hmm.
disaster films were kind of like mixed, were kind of a mix and touch of films that were done earlier in the 60s. You know, I mean, if you think back, Gorath, which was a Japanese production, was
Mm.
predominantly a disaster film, but it was like probably like the only one. Hold up, sorry, that's it's supposed to be on mute.
Please mute your phones when you're in the cinema. We've been over this 100 times.
Mhm. Yes, but
What are you doing?
yeah, but the film is a mix. Then, if you look at the cast, because that's the thing about disaster films, they have such this grand
Yeah.
cast, like you see on this poster here. You know,
Mm,
Burt Lancaster, Dean Martin. You know,
mm. Very big names in the
yes,
70s.
very big names. You know, and it's amazing knowing that these people all inherit something that connects up to. That's the thing about disaster films; they connect up to the plot. You know, it's not
Yeah.
just something they just throw away. It's just like it's there. You know, and I feel that it's something that this film, you know, got us started with the so-called disaster. Because if you watch the film, I mean, it gives this grand, you know, musical motif at the beginning. You know, it's like
Mm.
dun 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 dun. It's like it's right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's and just a fun
I just
fact.
love that soundtrack.
I
Absolutely
do
love it.
too. It's beautiful. I love it. And this is probably the only no, well, not the only. I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
let me take that back. Let me
Alfred
strike that.
Newman was the composer.
Yes, yes, very good composer. I think he was nominated for
Yeah.
score, if I'm
Yeah, he
not
was.
mistaken. But little fun note: this film was watched by my mother and my grandmother while my mother was still pregnant with me when this was released. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, my this is just a fun fact my mom told me, because when I did the math, because I actually looked it up, you know, when
Mm.
it was released in March of 79 of 70, which I was still in her belly, you know, still in the womb. So I was
Mm.
like, I don't know if that's so called, because usually these films would be released, you know, like in the very fall or Christmas time, you know, for Oscar buzz. But
Yeah.
this film was really, like I say, it was released early that year, 1970, and I wouldn't be born until June of that year. So her and my grandmother went to go. Sorry, that was I was trying to hit the wrong button there.
It's like, oh
um,
God, what's happened? We've lost the
I was gonna say
host.
he disappeared. it's like it's all on you, Professor.
Oh
But
shit! I didn't even get the script for this.
right, exactly. But hey, look, this is why we do it live, because we never know what's going to happen here. Um,
Absolutely.
yes, but no, no, she told me that little footnote, and I was kind of like, because I'm a mathematician by, you know, just practicing, because I do numbers in my head,
Mm.
because I'm thinking to myself, it's like, I don't really think that maths. But when I did look it up years later and saw that it was released at a certain time early before my birth, I was like, Okay, well, I guess she was pregnant with me, you know. So I was like, all right, so hey, but I wouldn't get to see this film until years later. I think I wouldn't see this film until like maybe mid or close to the late 70s, you
Mm,
know. And all I can say is the film is a dynamic of what disaster films are during the 70s. As someone would say, this is literally the this film literally is the grandfather of, you know, disaster films
yeah.
in a sense. But kind of give your take on it. What's your overall thought process in terms of, okay, when did you first see the film and your thought in how it affected you in that sense?
Yeah. The first time I saw the original Airport was actually Christmas of last year when I got
Okay.
the Airport box set. I think it's called the Terminal box set. I think they've named it
Ah,
now.
nice.
Yeah, because before then I watched the TV version of Airport 77 and Airport 79. So I was really looking forward to seeing the original Airport from 1970. Seeing this one for the first time, I was actually quite surprised at just how it had a very well grounded human drama for a
Mm.
disaster movie, which isn't something we see throughout many of these movies. Most of the characters, they're they're sort of like starting points within the film. Like for instance, okay, audience is introduced to this character. This is this character's purpose in the film. Here's a few other characters, and here's the seed for the disaster, and we take the ball from there. Airport actually takes the time to actually ground the characters and make them relatable
Right.
to us. And I did want to say this earlier, but I'm just going to say this now since we're talking about Airport.
Mhm.
These disaster movies, especially the airport ones, what I like about them is that they're not all about natural disasters. All of the disaster
Yes.
movies, some of them are actually either by uh, accident or by deliberate malice on behalf of an individual or a group of people, rather than a straight up natural occurrence like an earthquake or a volcano or even a meteorite, which is a very interesting way of spicing things up. Um, and there are also a lot of, I guess you would say, a lot of plot holes when watching the movies because when looking at these older movies now from a 21st century perspective, you cannot help but sometimes play devil's advocate. So, okay, there's a scene in the movie when one of the passengers, spoilers for those who haven't seen, he has a bomb in his hand luggage, and everyone knows about this. The pilot is trying to talk him down, and he's like, "Come on, your insurance is useless. You're not going to achieve anything by blowing up that bomb." And so I was like, "Holy shit, he's got a bomb!" He's like, "Wow, okay, you
I'm
didn't
like,
even gather this ahead of time." And then
it's
when someone comes out of the bathroom, he locks himself in the bathroom with the case, detonates the bomb, and the whole bathroom is just blown out. So you're thinking, okay, realistically, at that altitude, the whole plane will be rapidly descending, and all of the pressure in
yeah,
the cabin will just like
it's like
if it hadn't,
artistic
yeah,
licensing there. Yeah.
clearly. Uh, but yeah, that's one of the little things that we just love from this. The other little thing is, of course, some of the actors themselves. Some of them are actually very noticeable performances, whether they're uh, over the top dramatic or unintentionally funny, or they're just memorable all around. Like George Kennedy, he
Yes.
recurs in all of the
All the
disaster
four.
movies, and
Exactly.
then afterwards he'll go on to be uh, Leslie Niels. No, yeah, Leslie Nielsen's supporting actor in the Naked Gun trilogy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes. Yes, he is. Yes.
No, but yeah, I love the character that he plays in the airport movies. It's just he's the no nonsense rescue expert,
Hmm.
and one of my favorite moments from him actually comes from Airport 79, which is the one that has Concorde. He plays as one of the pilots, and in the second act of the film, the Concorde crashes into the Alps, and all of the people are starting to panic. It says aviation fuel leaking; it's about to explode. And he's like, all of you, shut up, sit down and wait for the doors to open. You want to go
Yeah.
to this plane and shut up. And it's like, wow, okay. He tells it bluntly as it is. I actually prefer that over how procedure is done now. But hey ho, the times are the times.
No, but you
Yeah.
know, but see, that's the thing you have to keep in mind. You got to keep these
Yeah.
people like, okay, they're losing their minds. It's like, well, you got to be the not so much the aggressive, but someone who's got to be authority. Figures say, shut the fuck up, keep your mouth shut, and you'll get out of here calmly without being
Yeah.
such a rat. It's like losing your mind and everything, And Kevin says, yes, it's one of mine
Yes.
too. We will
Very
be
good
we will be discussing that
Yep.
in a minute, eventually. And
I look forward to it.
so, really, you never? Oh, wow.
I'd
Hey.
recommend it, but not before you go flying. That's if you ever.
Yeah.
That's if you have a phobia of flights. This is one of the movies I wouldn't recommend, but I'd recommend it anyway because it's just great 70s cinema.
And isn't it funny? Now you mentioned that. Isn't it funny that I have never flown until last year, and even though I've seen these films like a many times before, go figure. When I get on a plane, it's like that wasn't even my thought process when I got on the plane. It's like, oh my god, am I going to go down? It's like, and that's the thing right there. And
yeah. Well, which remake are you talking about, Kevin? There are 3 different remakes. Well, 4 actually, and most of those are made for TV remakes.
Oh, I do know what he's talking about, the remake. And so he says, "Hey, what's up, Jim?" No, the 2006 Poseidon. It was a remake of Poseidon Adventure. Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss. What's his name? Kirk Russell and they all are in there. So it's like, yeah. It's okay, but I think it's more of a cash grab, and then and I'm not gonna lie, the effects in there are pretty darn good in there, but I feel it's not worth the time, Yeah, yes, exactly. That's what I figured. That's the one you was talking about.
Yeah, a lot of talent, but it just feels wasted in that remake.
It is. It's a lot because you got people from the real world episodes. You have people. Just random. You say lots of talent that's like really not worth the time. And I just feel like it's what's the purpose of that? It's what up? Who's it now? Yeah, it's it's definitely that. I mean, the 2006 were like I say, the effects in there, because the water effects in that film are like beautiful. It was new technology, but the story is like you could have put something better to use on that, I feel.
Yeah.
So, but
it
is what it is, though. But moving on, we're going to the next one because we just talked about it, and that is the Poseidon Adventure.
Yes.
And let's say, yeah, I know. I heard you had to do the 2-hour shift, Kevin. So be careful, brother, and don't lose him. Don't lose your mind. Yes, but the Poseidon Adventure, very interesting film, and I have to say, it's one of the most unique films of this group. Because it's, as we talked about the remake, the Poseidon Adventure. It's just a simple cruise ship, nothing more. But what's so extraordinary about it? Well, as it says, hell upside down. The ship gets turned on its side, and then it gets totally turned upside down under sea. And so it's like you're literally in the upside down realm of knowing that, okay, what should be the floor is now the ceiling. And it's like, it's such a, to me, it's almost a claustrophobic mind fuck. Because
especially all the service ways that they walk down after getting out of the pool.
And isn't it interesting that, this is a film that I feel that is, and this is another Irwin Allen production that it was actually one of his first ones, I feel, disaster-wise, he produced. And it's such a, like I say again, it's such a mind fuck knowing that your equilibrium is off, knowing that you should be here, but you're down here, and this is where
Yeah.
you're at now. And this film is such a classic example of, it's like take something that's never been done before and see if you can pull it off.
Mm.
And the film actually won an award for best song and best special effects. So
Yeah.
it's
It's,
so. Go ahead.
mm,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it has a really fantastic big name cast as well. I mean, Leslie Nielsen, Gene Hackman,
Mhm.
uh, Roddy McDowell is in here as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen is in there. He's only in there for like a few minutes, and then he's gone. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah. But go
Even if
ahead.
it's a cameo.
I'm
Even
sorry.
if it was so even
Oh
if it
yeah,
was a cameo, yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, because even though it was a cameo, I think that's the reason why he was in there as the captain. He's like, it's effective, and I think you need that effectiveness to say catch the people's attention, and know that the rest is like, oh, we're gonna have him in here, but oh no, he's gone now. You
Mm.
know, so it's
Just
it's crazy. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just exactly. I mean, look, it's kind of like Mr. Seagal, the actual one, where
Yeah.
he's in, you know, what's the film? Because I just did it with Kevin when we talked about Executive Decision, and
Yeah.
he's in there for like a grand total of 20 minutes,
Hmm.
and just like that, he's gone. He's gone. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
I guess his martial arts couldn't save him from that. So
No. No.
but no, this film here is a another example of big budget,
Mm.
total big cast,
Yeah.
well named, real. I mean, Ernest Borgnine's in this too. Stella Stevenson. It's
Hmm.
such a massive undertaking. And all it is about people who are trying to survive and get rescued. And it's got a bittersweet ending, but through it, people die in here. And you
Yeah.
can't have a disaster film without someone to a degree dying. And I think this is like the first one where airport previously we saw like maybe one person die, someone dies and someone gets injured, but here you see multiple people, losing their lives. And I feel
Right.
that's the thing about disaster films, like people
Almost
are
the entire ship.
yes, and
Mm.
it's exactly it's in one particular area. It's not moved to anything else. So,
Yeah.
given your overall thought process, when was your first take on? What was your take on this film, and when did you originally see it?
Yeah. The first time I saw this is when I was really young, back in the early 2000s, when they were actually broadcasting these on TV networks. And I actually saw Poseidon Adventure right as the boat was capsized
Mm.
by the Rome wave. And of course, being a kid at the time, I was like, well, what the hell was going on here? Where did this massive wave come from? Why is everything upside down? What's going on? And then I rewatched it again recently. Again, it was rebroadcast on TV. I think it was on. It was either Film 4 or Sky Arts, one of the two.
Okay.
But I was able to watch it from beginning to end on one of those two stations, and I approached it with a new appreciation again for the human side of it, because the human drama, especially in this disaster film, that and the first airport movie as well, I feel it has the better of the human uh, drama aspects. And then like
Right.
you actually root for the characters, you actually want them to get off the boat alive. And when some of them make sacrifices, it does feel like a gut punch. In terms of the special effects, I really do like the miniature effect of the boat actually
Yes.
capsizing. Then you have this visual or optical effects of the ship upside down, just slowly sinking below the waves as it explodes and it loses pressure. Then you have all these upside down corridors just flooding with water. And I have to say that there's stunt work in there as well for these upside down
Yes.
corridors. It's just brilliant. And I say extra credit, in fact, to the stunt actors who do these sorts of disaster movies, because
Mhm.
some of them, they're really bloody painful to do.
Yes.
Like taking a full force of water being smacked around from one surface to another. I mean, damn.
I mean, there's in fact, speaking of stunt work, there's a film when, like I say, when the ship is totally upside down. There's
Mm,
that famous shot of this one stunt person who falls directly into this,
yeah.
glass, which I guess it was the ceiling, but now he falls from the floor to the ceiling,
Mm,
and it's a very iconic shot for this film. But it's a very beautiful made stunt performance from him, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh wow, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, wonderful work. Great cinematography. Really good performances from Roddy McDowell and all the other cast
Yes,
members. For those who haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend this one, no question. The remake, definitely not. If you see any of the made for TV versions, I would not recommend them either.
mm.
Because there are like 4 or 5 made for TV versions of this movie.
I think I remember that, and it's like I don't think I've ever seen any one of those, and I'm like, you could have just stuck with the original one. you know,
Yeah.
it's the one you should stick with. But
Mm,
kind of moving along here, we're going to start because it came out first in '74, and that is, of course, Earthquake. And this
yes.
is probably the first one out of the disaster films of the time. This is early '70s, where
Mm,
you actually took a natural disaster and made it your whole plot point.
yeah.
But the amazing thing about the plot point of this is that I remember seeing this, first time on television. And the thing about it is, as a kid, I don't know how you felt about it, but as a kid, you're waiting for some bad stuff to happen. I'm
Mm,
like, I'm waiting of like almost an hour for an earthquake. And it's like, I'm just sitting there like, come on, man. I'm like 6 or 7 years old. Like, short attention span. You're a kid. You're like, this is like saying, come on, I need some destruction going on. I need something to happen. It's like I'm just listening to all the
mm.
dialogue of these people, ordinary. Like, who gives a shit? I don't give a damn. I want to see some bodies fall. I want to see some buildings come crumbling down. I want to see that, but
They definitely do.
yeah, but I didn't understand at the time that this is what you call a slow burn.
Yeah.
And when I got older and was much more mature, it's like, okay, I get it now. And I realized, like, if you don't have those interactions with the different people that are in this picture, then you can't cope with what they're about to face later
Mm,
on when the earthquake does hit. Because again, this is another amazing cast. It stars Charlton Heston,
yeah.
Eva Gardner, George Kennedy, who's
Yeah.
not in a airport film. He's actually in this.
Hmm.
He's in this. Lauren Green, Jubilee. Let's see, can't say
Genevieve.
Genevieve Bouvier. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Richard Richard Roundtree Shaft
Yeah.
himself is in here, and
Yeah.
very young Victoria Principal. You know,
Mm,
if
that's
anyone
true.
knows, if anyone knows who Victoria Principal is, trust me, she's hot. Just put it that way. We'll leave it at
Yep.
that. But
Oh, pretty well.
yes, oh, shut, oh, dude, if you look, she like, oh my lord. I mean, Linda Carter, some other various ones back then. Victoria Principal was just one of those individuals that had natural beauty, and she exudes with that. And like I say, if you saw her in her heyday, she was new. Whew. Anyway, getting back to getting back to the disaster point of this
Yeah.
earthquake. when you interact with these different characters, especially Charlton Heston's character and Ava Ava Gardner's character, we see that they are a married couple, but their relationship is falling apart. Is the marriage
Yeah.
is much going to the dogs, and that's only because, well, partially because she's who she is, and this
Yeah.
was causes him to have an affair with
Mm.
Genevieve. I was like, oh God, dude, come on, dude, really? I mean, you have to do this, But aside from that, this film is one of those particular films that
Mm.
if you're
It's
not
nostalgic.
yes, exactly. If you're not invested into this, well, I'll put it like this: if you're not invested into the characters, you're not going to really grab anything. And I
Right.
feel, to me, that's exactly what you looking for when you watch this kind of film. But
Mm.
other than that, um, what's your kind of mindset in terms of this film? Because you mentioned something about earlier about an elevator scene, but overall, what's your thought process of this film, and when was your first time watching it? Let's see.
Now, the first time watching it, it's a very, very vague memory because we
Okay.
were on holiday in one of those caravans. I had a TV in, or this was on like a holiday site where you rent out a caravan for a week.
Okay.
It was on one of those, and I had a very small TV, and we actually caught the second half of Earthquake on there. It wasn't until 6 years ago we actually caught it on TV. Uh, Recently, when I was back in college, and I was actually able to watch it from beginning to end. It's like, wow, this to me feels like the disaster movie. Uh,
Hmm.
it's like whenever anyone mentions disaster movies, I immediately, by default, think of Earthquake. This is the number one that comes to mind, in my opinion. So if I were to rank all of the disaster movies, I'd have Earthquake as number one, top of the list, no doubt.
Cool. Okay.
And looking at it from the human drama, it's actually one of those sequences where now I really do not condone uh, uh, partners cheating on one another. But then when you see the character that Charlton Heston is married to in the film, you cannot help but sort of sympathize with him, and you can't really blame him for cheating either because she's an alcoholic and a pill popper, and
Hmm.
she almost and this isn't the first time that she's almost died from mixing both of those.
Right.
On the other end, you have George Kennedy's character, who plays a policeman, a no nonsense cop, chasing down uh, a dangerous driver, and
Yeah.
when he gets when he gets arrested by a patrol officer, he's like, "I have no time for this shit," and just decks the guy in the face. It's like, why can I not blame any of these people? It's
Mm.
very difficult to. But
Yeah.
yeah, but also in terms of the acting, I really do like the chemistry between Charlton Heston and his wife's character in
Yeah.
this movie because the whole argument they have in an elevator before the main earthquake hits, you actually feel that tension going on there, especially when you learn that the boss that he's working for is actually his father-in-law
Right.
because he works at an office building where they try to make earthquake-proof buildings, which is interesting because very rarely did these sorts of movies have real-world science incorporated into them. So I actually commend Earthquake for putting in the effort to incorporate real-world science when it comes to its subject matter of its disaster, especially a little thing which is actually uh, confirmed as true is at some point during the midpoint of the movie, the characters are inspecting the Hoover Dam, and they notice that one of the doors doesn't close properly because the door frame is contorted during the quake. Although you actually wouldn't notice it at first until that one character points it out. Because in all the other scenes up until then, it closes just fine. So it's like, oh, I love that little attention to detail. I love it. It's brilliant. And then the actual earthquake itself happens, and I have to say, this is one of the best destruction sequences I've seen in the movie that's not a kaiju movie. All of
Right.
the miniature buildings, they because of course they shot them at different camera speeds, and they actually incorporated a lot of the shaky cam technique. I just appreciate how they got that crumbling effect of all those miniature buildings, especially the reconstruction of LAX just falling to pieces in
Right.
this movie. Another thing I really do like about this movie is the music score by John Williams,
Yes. Thank you
because
for
this
bringing
is one of
that up.
his more underappreciated, actually very lesser known scores, aside from Jaws and Close Encounters and movies that he would later score into the 80s and 90s. But this one, for the soundtrack, if you have a chance to listen to it, I would highly recommend listening to John Williams' soundtrack in this movie. It is disaster perfection. That's all I have to say on the soundtrack. Now, in terms of the actual storyline itself, well, I don't really see it as a storyline, but I see it as more of a what if um, dramatization of a real world scenario, because it doesn't feel for a moment like it's another hokey by the numbers popcorn flicks. It doesn't feel that way at all. For a disaster movie, this is one of the more grounded and one of the more serious ones, in my opinion.
That's a good point. And it's kind
Yeah.
of weird. It's kind of weird that you bring up. I mean, I want to touch on the miniatures, because
Mm,
I know when I first saw it, I guess because from my eyes, as a child, I would never thought that because you're taking a real world event and you're, exploring it. But I didn't realize special effects were done in this film, because
mm,
when I see the buildings coming down especially from a point of view from a one person character in there, looking and seeing the buildings come, it's like, okay, that looks like real stuff. That looks like real, buildings coming down, tearing apart and everything. But when I found out years later that it was done mostly with miniatures and good old special effects, I was like, what? It's like that's like and this is why I say for me who loves films, I love the behind the scenes of the
yeah.
making of these things because it's such a boggling thing knowing that how much intricacy in terms of how detailed the miniatures and the time they took to film these things. And I should mention a very well-known matte painter, Mr. Albert Whitlock, who
Yes.
he's. I mean, I'm very sure he's a
Yeah.
brilliant. I mean, he's long since gone, but he was a brilliant English, matte painter who'd been in the
Mm,
business for years. I mean, he'd been doing matte paintings for several people. I think he worked on.
yeah.
I
The
think he worked on.
Thing.
He definitely
Hindenburg.
worked on the thing. Yes, he definitely.
Psycho 2. He did the matte
Yes,
painting
he
in
worked
that
on
as
Cycle
well.
2. Yes,
Yeah.
he was. I think he worked all the way up until the early '90s, almost. I think.
Yeah.
And, like I say, he was such a brilliant, artist. But his paintings were so detailed that you never. Because I know that one shot after the earthquake is done, we
Mm,
see just the metropolis just in ruins, fire blazing. I would never think that was a matte painting. You know,
yeah.
First glance, I was like, that's a matte painting. Then when I see the behind the scenes, like, oh, that's a matte painting. It's like, okay, it's like cool. So
Mm,
it's such a gratifying thing that the effects back then, and as you mentioned before, some effects in this film do hold up pretty well. There are
yeah.
others that are kind of hokey to say the least. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
one shot. I'm
In
not
the
talking about.
elevator.
Yeah, well, we'll get there in a
Mm,
second. That one shot that I feel it sticks out in my mind the most is the that load of cattle on the truck that goes off the side.
yeah.
I would think I know when I saw that the first time, I was like, I would never know that was a miniature until I actually
Yeah.
looked it up. Like, oh, that's. I was like, well, there goes a lot of hamburgers getting slaughtered there.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
no, I mean,
roadside burgers.
yeah, exactly. They're totally gone. No. But as you mentioned,
Mm,
the elevator sequence.
right.
Explain
Now,
that.
okay. So this is when the main earthquake hits. Everyone is taking cover. All of the buildings are falling. Now, I think it's the building that Charlton Heston walks out of.
Yes.
A lot of the characters, they cram themselves into an elevator to go down, but one of the cables snaps and they all fall onto the ground. There's no camera work doing any shaky cam or anything. It's just one static shot, and there's an optical effect that's like a little blood puddle that's just been drawn on and then gets superimposed when
Yes.
all of the extras just drop down onto the floor in the elevator, and the blood splat is just like so. So this series, for instance, the blood splat.
Mhm.
All of the characters are down here. When everyone drops to the ground, the blood splat just goes right up to the screen, stops there for a few seconds, and then it just cuts away to the rest of the effects footage. And it's like that's one of the most jarring effect sequences I've ever seen in a disaster movie that I actually liked. And I'm not quite sure whether to love it or hate it. It's just there.
Yes, that's kind of the problem, because I know when I first witnessed that, I was kind of like, is this a cartoon or something? It seems like it's too Wile E. Coyote kind of moment.
Yeah.
But then they don't do no blood, but it's like that. You could have done something better with that, or I'll put it like this: at least not superimposed, but maybe some kind of effect where effects of guy on the side was like shoot, fake blood into the camera. That would be more effective. But that would seem like that kind of takes you out of place.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know how.
speaking of, yeah, but speaking of blood, there is actually a scene in there where Sugar Glass is dropped onto one of the actors in the movie. Then one of the actors looks up and he actually has prosthetic glass stuck in her face and shoulders, which was actually quite very graphic, but a very well done special effect as well.
True.
I mean, because of how they shot it, you wouldn't tell that prosthetic was applied before the extras, before the stunt people actually threw those glass flakes before then. But yeah, that's one of the good practical effects that holds up. Another one, which is a really nice attention to detail, is when you look at the wide shots of Whitlock's map paintings of the cityscape in ruins, you would notice little clouds of gas from all the gas mains that have been ruptured, pouring through and catching fire, which is actually a pretty nice touch in that movie, because of course that shit would happen. But there is one scene that does happen that does take me out of the movie, is when the earthquake is happening in the suburbs. One of the residents, he has a cigarette in his mouth, and someone yells off screen, "Turn off the gas! Turn off the gas!" The guy with the cigarette rushes into the house, and then the whole house explodes because the gas main has been ruptured, and almost as if on cue, the earthquake just stops after that one house in the entire suburb just explodes. But more on the miniature effects. If you remember the scene when the child's mother is walking down the hills, the earthquake happens, and you have those houses on stilts, these miniature houses, they just crumble apart and fall down the hillside. That was a really good miniature effect.
Very good. I mean, I've seen behind the scenes of that, and I'm just like, wow. I mean, again, another example of great miniature work, which I feel like is kind of lost nowadays because not a lot of films use that technique. It's all pretty much CG. But yes, very good example. I mean, that, and like you say, we're speaking of the mother, when she's looking for a child, the reservoir, that was miniature. I was like, that's a pretty good effect. Like I say, I will say this, nitpicking it a little bit. The one miniature, and I'm pretty sure you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The dam sequence.
Yeah.
The dam sequence could have been. I mean, because when it starts, it's okay, but once it gets going, it's like, it's no, I don't know, and I feel that that's. And the funny, and what's interesting, this film actually took a special Academy Award for special effects.
That's right.
I mean, primarily not just for the miniatures, but for, I mean, it was given for miniatures, but the matte painting work for Ivan Whitlock, that was given to him. But that damn sequence was a little shoddy to say the least. You know, I mean, and they spent so much time on it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, that doesn't hold up too well. I mean, I actually seen some films years later, like Dante's Peak, where the dam breaks and it's way more, you know, convincing, you know, and that's real
Yeah.
water. That's big, big. I mean, it's a grand spanking huge miniature with real water, and it's just like, whoa, that's what you call, you know, using. I mean, I feel like I think it boils down to size, time, and money in that
That's
sense.
right.
I feel that's reason why maybe this didn't look as convincing in my eyes compared to some years later. I don't know.
Yeah. There's also a little known fact about this particular movie. It was also, in some ways, it inspired a little made-for-TV film in 1990 called The Great Los Angeles Earthquake, which that movie itself, well, it was a two-parter movie. It followed a series of geologists, a city mayor official, and a few other characters, and also a policeman who has a sort of guilty past. That movie, although it was made in two parts, it actually won an Academy Award for Best Destruction Sequence in a made-for-TV production.
Oh wow.
If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend you go out, track down a copy, and give it a watch. It might be available online in some places. It might not be. You just have to do a lot of looking around. And to reiterate, that's The Great Los Angeles Earthquake, broadcast in 1990.
Was it an American production? Brit?
It was
Okay.
an American production. Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You see, and I
That
see.
movie.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's kind of funny that productions like that I usually overlook because it might have been not so much low key, but maybe it just there were other things that I was seeing that it just didn't catch my eye. So it's like if you mention it, it's like, oh, okay, you know, so I have to check it out. Okay.
Oh, definitely. I highly recommend it, along with this Earthquake movie as well. Everything in Earthquake, from John Williams' score to the cast and their acting, the special effects, the matte paintings by Albert Whitlock, and even the little factual inserts in little background details. Perfect. Brilliant all around. At least one or two effects haven't aged all
Very
that well, admittedly, but it doesn't detract from the overall presentation at all.
No, it doesn't, and I feel that's the thing about it. It's that's what makes a good film. It's like you do not get lost in the effects that are being broadcast. You get lost in the story, and that's the thing about
Yes.
the movie. So I think that's the brilliant part of this. But on to the next one. This is another disaster film. It came out just a month later after Earthquake, and I don't know how you feel about it, but it is The Towering Inferno.
Huge nostalgia burst.
Yes. This is by far the grandest of grand disaster films in terms of because this was two studios. This was the first in ever happening where two competing studios had the same kind of story to be developed, collided together. When I say collide, it's contribute together and created one of the most amazing title films ever produced on film. And let's just say this film is by far one of those films that you have to really invest yourself very well with the story because there are so many, and it's like I say, it's a disaster film where there's no godlike thing happening. It's not Mother Nature's not a hand at it. The disaster is all man-made.
Yep.
Man is the reason why shit goes down hard in this film. And this is another Irwin Allen production, and this is probably is one of his most challenging films ever because you're dealing with the most of elements, which is fire. you know. And
Yeah.
anyone who deals with fire in production of any kind knows that it is not it's not something to be played with, you know.
No,
It
absolutely
is
not.
not to be played with. But
No.
your first time and thought process of what this film affected you in a sense. When was your first time seeing it?
Right. The first time I watched this, again, it was on TV, and it was at the a point in the movie where they're trying to get up onto the building and actually blow up the water tanks to drench the flames from crawling up the building even further.
Right.
But I actually found it on DVD at the charity shop where I work at, so I was able to watch it in full
Okay.
for the first time on home media, and I was just completely blown away, pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, blown away by the sheer scope and scale of this, because I heard a lot about this movie by reputation as a piece of cinema history when I was in college and then going into university. But I always struggled to find a physical copy of it until I started my shifts at Cancer Research. Seeing it now, this is like, okay, this is right up there with Earthquake in terms of favorite 70s movies. This is a very close second. And it's funny how there are two rival studios working on this, which even by today's standards, it's quite uncommon.
True.
But now it's not so much unheard of. I mean, for instance, you have Paramount and Warner Brothers doing, I think it was A Quiet Place, the first
Either
one.
that or I know it's that. Yeah.
Mm. But yeah, absolutely love this one, especially the miniature effects and all of the pyrotechnical effects as well. But what still gets me is that the whole thing starts because of uh, cut corners in terms of the wire and insulation of this uh, new building that's just opened on the
Mhm.
first night. And it just starts with literally the fuse box sparking open and then catching fire to some cardboard boxes in the basement. Now, in context of the film, it it's good as a piece of saying fire hazards can start almost anywhere with almost anything that's flammable. But then when you're looking at it from a 21st century perspective, because you're watching a movie made in the 70s, it's like, oh, great! It's just literally straight into the plot. Again, the characters in this one, they're actually quite relatable, and there is one character you just love to hate. That's being the son-in-law, because of
Yeah.
course he cut a lot of corners in the safety regulations, and also Steve McQueen does a very good job as the fire chief in
Yes.
this movie. Because when they're discussing the plan to get the fire under control, it's like, anyone else volunteering for this mission? No one else is silent, and Steve McQueen's just like, well, shit.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I love it too. But then realizing the controversy later on, this is one of the early on-screen appearances of O.J. Simpson, who plays the security guard. Now, I did some looking into this movie on IMDb, and I heard that originally um, Simpson was going to be playing the fire chief, but then for some reason, I think it was OJ who swapped the role to be the security inspector because he felt someone else would be a better fit for the lead role, especially for the character that he was asked to play. And as far as an actor giving up one role for another, I actually kind of respect that, because it says that, okay, so the actor has thought about this role considerably, and they're thinking, all right, at this point in my career, I may not have the gravitas as someone else, so I'm going to let someone else take a try at this role, but I will definitely give the other role that I'm interested in, I'll give that one my full performance. Which, again, it's a commendable decision. Sometimes it's a good decision, sometimes it's not. It really depends on the person as much as it does on the actual production itself.
True.
As far as being a joint production, now I can imagine that the executives were in very heated discussions behind closed doors, because God forbid when two separate studios work together on a movie like this, you would know they have to split the profits 50-50
Yes.
just for the studios themselves to break even if the movie itself does or doesn't, which is one hell of a headache.
And because we still see that kind of manifestation still to this day, because it's all
Yeah,
about profit. Yes.
that's right. And according to IMDb, this is number one of the top 30 disaster movies of the 1970s. And I'm inclined to agree with this one as well, with this list as well. Again, love everything about this, especially the poster art design
Yes, I
we have
mean
there on the poster.
it's just a it's just like I say, it shows everything,
Mm,
and it's interesting because this film, it almost you almost can say it inspired some other films like well, I feel it's automatic. Die
yeah.
Hard, and I know when I first did hear about Die Hard, I'm kind of like, it's like, wait a minute, this is like Tower Inferno. I mean, how is that?
Mm,
But Tower Inferno, even though Tower Inferno is, I mean, like I say, Die Hard is kind of action oriented. I
yeah.
mean, the Tower Inferno is more, and I'm saying the Die Hard isn't either, but Tower Inferno is more character driven because it's like you see how people's interactions with one another leads to these complications and leads to how the outcome happens. And this is, and like I say, since this is such a major setting where individuals are in one particular spot, a lot of people die from
Yeah.
because of someone's negligence,
Yeah.
usually.
Especially
So
the son-in-law, because the father, he's just about had enough of his shit throughout the entire movie. So he
yes,
punches him in the face and says, "He will be the last one to go, and I will make sure of it." Everyone
right.
else goes one by one into the capsule onto the other building. But of course, the son in law, being the son in law, he has to get onto the capsule, and everyone else piles on after him. And of course, because of the weight of everyone on the capsule, the wire snaps and they all plummet down to their deaths onto the ground streets below.
Yeah.
And there is an interesting effect in there. I'm not exactly sure how they did it. I mean, of course, obviously with miniatures, but there's a scene where one of the characters falls out of a broken window, and you just see this white object, like a little white piece of paper,
Yes.
resembling the person in the dress falling out of the tower. It's like, it's so simple, but it's such a really impactful special effect as well.
But what's added on to that effect is the fact
Mm,
that the building itself is a very tall building. It's one of the tallest in the
yeah,
story in the world.
yeah,
Its effectiveness of how when this person, I mean, because like I say, it's done in miniature, but the sound is like when this person hits the side of the building, you immediately know that that person dies right
yeah,
there. That's the see, that's so haunting because like, okay, even at that certain height, it's
mm,
like she hasn't hit the ground yet. But once she hits the side, which maybe be like, I don't know, roughly 100 feet, it's enough to say she's screaming, and then when she hits, it's like stops screaming. No more
yeah.
screaming. It's like, oh, she's gone.
Yeah,
You know.
that, that's
It,
that's the end.
and it proves right there. It's like that's another exceptional the detail in this
Mm.
film. It's like, yes, we haven't even hit the floor. We haven't hit the floor of the ground yet, but we're high enough to know that if you hit a certain hard surface and it's still not on the ground, it's like that's enough to kill you. So
Oh
it's like
yeah.
that's good sound editing on the people who made this film.
Mm.
I like
And
that.
again, another huge credit to John Williams for the score on this one.
Yes. Hmm.
Especially, and also more on the sound design. Now, this one, for a long time, I couldn't tell if it was actually genius on John Williams or genius on the sound designers. But when the character is actually climbing through the vents, you just hear this very ominous droning
Yes.
sound
I like what I
that
was
it
gonna
goes, and I'm thinking, okay, that's either the sound of the fire, the sound of the air outside the building, or really creepy music by John Williams, or all of the above. That's actually the one moment in the film I actually felt very uneasy about, in
say.
term, especially since it's a very claustrophobic scene as well, given how it's framed.
True. I
Mm.
mean, because and that's it's kind of funny you bring that up because someone when I had the original because I had it but I've lost it somehow. The Blu-ray for this film in the commentary was talking about the historians was saying that that moment where the person's in the shaft, in there, and you hear this droning, they kind of said it's like we're not sure if that was a mixture of John Williams doing something ethereal, give her very uneasiness, or was that the sound editing, and you should say it could be a combination of both because that's one thing about sound. It is nothing but sound. Sound, like I say, music is nothing a motif of things that catches your eye, ear, and the same thing with sound effects in terms of the sound design. It's like it's something because believe it or not, certain sound designs are done with musical instruments, and it
Yeah.
gives these amazing effects that the ear doesn't necessarily know how to register. It's like, is that like I say, that's how it's supposed to sound? That's it. Because I'll give you a great example real quick. Terminator 2,
Mm.
during the scene where the the T-1000 is chasing John Connor in the reservoir, and when the truck hits one of these, shells of a car in the reservoir, you hear this like wing out. It's kind of like it sounds like a broken. It sounds like a dented horn
Yeah.
sound. Like because in my back of my mind, if I'm hearing this, like that's an unusual kind of sound design for that. But that was an instrument
Mm.
being damaged for that one particular moment. So it's interesting how a mixture of regular music composure or sound design can contribute to something that's so haunting that it gives a very uneasy moment for the
Mm.
viewer. And like you say, it's a very claustrophobic moment throughout this film. I mean, we're because like I say, when the film starts, you John Williams score, that's very triumphant, very, just venturous, epic, it's like we're outside, and I guess that's the whole point because it's like we're outside, we're experiencing this grand thing, it's something very tremendous, but that's not even till we get to the to the building, we're just hearing this music.
Yeah.
So once we get inside the building, all that changes because we're in one spot and we're dealing with a much more cataclysmic, very claustrophobic event where it's like you either get suffocated or you get burnt some kind of way, and
Or
the
both.
music, it's yeah, exactly, or both. So, and it's such an enriching kind of thing about this film that it does this because he was nominated for John Williams for original score for
Mm.
this film, which I think he deserved. I wish he could have won, but hey, nothing you can do about that. But
Yeah.
this film was such a grand thing that it was nominated for Best Picture. It didn't
Hmm.
win, but you know what? It's like, hey, it still got that staple of showing that disaster films are not exempt from the Academy or from being noticed for by the critics. I feel
Right.
that's about that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's not like today because critics today are more headstrong in terms of what do we call movie and what do we call film, because
Mm.
believe it or not, there's a difference between the two.
Of course.
Film
And I
is
think.
more artistic,
Mm.
more something that say let's capture the eye of something accomplished in terms of producing something that's very artistic, whereas movie is like definitely popcorn moment.
Mm.
And this film here is kind of anomaly of both. If you think
Yeah.
about it, it's not necessarily one or the other. I feel, which is kind
Yeah.
of weird because it's one or the other with two studios, 20th Century Fox and Warner Brothers. You know,
Right.
so it's very weird.
Yeah. And part of me always wondered this because, I mean, before looking at these disaster movies, as a kid in the early 2000s, there would always be repeat broadcasts of a Super Mario Nation show called Thunderbirds.
Mhm.
And one particular episode is called City of Fire. And in the plot, there's a family that goes to investigate the Thompson Tower, which is the highest skyscraper in the world.
Mm.
And while they're investigating, someone crashes a car in the underground parking lot, and a huge fire breaks out and engulfs the entire building.
Oh.
So I'm looking back at this, then I see films like Towering Inferno, and I wonder, okay, am I reading too much into it, or did Irwin Allen watch some episodes of Thunderbirds when they came stateside, picked some elements of inspiration from this, and put them into disaster movies? Because I'm seeing some very striking parallels between one and the other here.
Now it's interesting you bring that up because that wouldn't be too far fetched. I
Mm,
mean, it's true. A person can read too much into that detail, but I've often said about this about other artists, filmmakers that they had to have got their influence from some other particular film from the past in order
right.
for them to be influenced by something that they're doing now. Because I've said this time and time again. James Cameron might have got his influence from a Godzilla film because of that moment in Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla where the outer shell of the fake Godzilla melts off and we see the reveal of Mecha Godzilla. So it's like
Yeah. And
never know.
that's exactly what I said to one of my friends at the dealer's room in G Fest a couple
Mhm.
years back, because there was this statue of Mechagodzilla 74 with some of the fake Godzilla disguise burning off. It's like,
Right.
you know what? I wouldn't put it past James Cameron if he actually saw Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla first, and then came up with the idea for Terminator from that, but
Right.
replaced Godzilla with Arnold Schwarzenegger instead. I would not be surprised if that was the actual thing.
Right.
If it was coincidence, then Jesus, that is one hell of a coincidence if it is. But it's
Very.
so on the nose, it may as well be a nostril, for God's sake.
Yes. So it's like I say, like I say, what you're saying about the Irwin Allen, maybe borrowing from Thunderbird, you never know. I mean, it's like we get inspirations from everything, and like I say, we already know that like George Lucas definitely
Mm.
got his inspiration from Kurosawa, from
Oh, yeah.
different films. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't feel it's too unwarranted that could be the case, and good old Kevin's got our back with this. Say, okay.
I think that is possible.
That is possible. I wouldn't, you know what? I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. That could be the case.
See
Yeah.
how it's all interconnecting now? All the
True.
planets are aligning now.
Right. It's like say we're putting everything is in balance now. So it's like
Yeah.
it's not unheard of how that could be the case. And
Everything's falling into place.
okay, well, see, I didn't know that. See, that's something right there. I didn't would have
Yeah.
known. That's see stuff like that always, as you say, comes back full circle. So it wouldn't make sense if that would be the case. And knowing like, hey, we all borrow. I mean, I know all people borrow something from. I mean, I know like the Wachowskis, they borrow something from Asian culture with the Matrix. But eventually they would, something would fall back that they would borrow. I mean, the Asian culture would borrow something from the Matrix into their
Mm,
films. So it's like, yeah, it's like, hey, it's share and share alike, as I like to say. So
yeah.
it wouldn't be heard of. So, but hey, we're on a good roll here, and we're going to move on to something else. And this is going to be the number four. I mean, not number four, but number two of the airport films, which is Airport 75, 1975, which is the sequel to
Yeah.
Airport.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know how you feel about this. And Kevin says here, it's like Well, look,
Yeah.
I have, believe it or not, Kevin, I actually have something in the works later on. It actually, when I was
Ooh.
doing this, I feel like I'm going to do something a little different, but it's going to be disaster um, influence. So, yes, I would definitely. Oh, and he says, yes, you do.
Yes,
I feel
Kevin.
that.
Yes.
hmm You definitely have to watch these. I have to say. I mean, now, as I mentioned before, with this particular film, I mean, I've told you before how I feel about sequels. Sequels, they're a dime a dozen. Some are going to work, some are not. I mean, Aliens, Terminator 2, Empire Strikes Back, very good examples. Others, pick. Airport 1975 is one of those films.
Yeah.
And even though the concept is pretty decent, it's well, I mean, hey, I don't know how you feel about it. I know it's one of my least favorite of the airport films, you know.
Hmm.
And for you, how would you feel about it? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Airport 75. How I feel about this one?
Mhm.
I feel on Airport 75. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Great, Kevin. Airport. Now, I feel now Airport 75. To me, it's that mixed bag where great concepts, but execution. I mean, how do I put this? The the character who is flying a small one-person plane,
hmm
crossing onto the flight path of a passenger 747, and then having a heart attack right on cue before crashing into the cockpit and killing both the pilots. Now, I get the idea behind it from a storytelling point, but the way it happens in the movie, it feels like, oh, disaster, right on cue.
Right.
Yeah, tick that box. We can finally, okay, we have a mid-air collision in an airport movie. Tick that off the list. What's next on the list?
Yes.
And again, I feel that at some point someone had to have seen Thunderbirds because they literally try, from the Thunderbirds episode Trapped in the Sky, they literally try a aircraft to aircraft transfer on
Really?
someone, literally, albeit in uh, albeit in Trapped in the Sky, they're trying to dislodge an explosive attached to the undercarriage. In Airport 75, they're trying to put a pilot on board the plane to get it down, but both attempts fail the first time.
Right.
And so I'm looking back at this, and I'm looking at Thunderbirds, and I look at this again. It's like, serious, are they actually taken the inspiration from Thunderbirds, or is the coincidence just screwing with me at this point? Because it feels too much of a similarity to be a coincidence at this point. If it happens for Towering Inferno and it's happened for Airport, what else is going to happen with next?
and truth
Honestly,
be
what?
and truth well, and truth be told, I've noticed that America, I mean, that's something about us Americans. We always borrow from our brethren from the over the seas, whether it be from Australia, whether it be from the England, whether it be from it's like we're always borrowing, but never really give no credit to that examination. And
Oh God!
oh my oh wow.
Kevin, you magnificent son of a bitch. That is the
That's
best
okay.
idea I've heard all year.
Wow, that's okay. That's
Oh,
I don't know. You know what? That's hey, you know what? Now you
oh,
just pointed it out. I can't really say because I mean that's
oh, oh God.
oh
Wow.
wow, that took me off. Oh wow. And see, I've been flying for only 2 years now, so I'm kind of getting the hang of it. But I mean, you know what? I mean, hey, I mean, a remake of it. I don't know. I mean, look, in truth be told, people are always doing remakes, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But if would I want one? Personally, no. me personally, I wouldn't want one. But for something like G Fest of going to Chicago, hey, it might be fun.
Right, Kevin. At some point, we're gonna get everyone on our group chat together, and we're gonna storyboard an idea for this. We're gonna get a script for this, and we're gonna make it ourselves if we have to.
Because this is, I mean, I'm like that. But yeah, I mean that I never even thought about that. That's. I mean, a couple of friends going to G Fest, and yes, and
all right, let's see. There's the characters we have. Okay, we have the passenger who dodges aircraft fares and gets free flights from one another. Check. We have the guy who's committing insurance fraud. Check. We have the art thief. Check. The con artist. Check. Who else are we missing? Oh yeah, the rescue guy who's no nonsense. Check.
See, checked all the boxes. So
yeah.
Hey, I would not look. I wouldn't hesitate to say that would be a bad idea. I mean, like, see, that's what you call more of a not so much a rehashing, but a more refreshing vision of something that has been done. But say, give it a different face. You know, don't just do it over the same trial and tribulations of what this one did, especially with Airport 75. It's like, don't do that. Just like try something different. You know?
And for the love of God, don't give this idea to Hollywood.
It's like,
they'll do it.
Not to get you know. That's yes. That you look. I'm definitely at that point that I am too. Oh my God, this is okay. This is brilliant. I love it already. I'm loving it. I'm really loving it now. So you got me stoked, brother. You got me stoked. That I love that.
Yeah. Yes. I'll just find my best jacket and a stethoscope, and I'll be the role of the doctor just fine.
Oh, but you would pull that motif off with the doctor. You know, it's like, yes, I know this is science. I know this is how I'm going to do it. Yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, hey, look, if it can be done, I say put it in effect. You know,
Captain, this man is very sick. He has to go to a hospital as soon as possible. When can we land?
Yes, and I would have to say, yeah, I had to be like, it's like, oh man, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think how I can get these people down. It's so hard, man. I'm on my I'm about to retire in 2 days. I mean, how am I putting this shit? You know, that's gruffy sounding.
Yeah. Yes. And I can tell at some point we may have to take inspiration from the spoof airplane.
Oh my God, dude! That's yes.
Yeah.
That's
Nielsen.
That is a very given thing. I mean, I feel that would have to come into play so much, you know. But
I can't tell. You can tell me I'm a doctor. No, I'm just not sure. Can't you take a guess? Not for another 2 hours. You can't take a guess for another 2 hours.
See, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it does become like a play on that, it's like that'd be more. And it's like, would it be more meta or be more just humorous? You know, it's like it varies. You know, and it's kind of funny because this film, Airport 75, does have a moment in this film that's actually in Airplane as spoof. You know, a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember
the
that
little child who's the patient. That's from this movie.
Linda Blair, after her amazing work in The Exorcist, you know, she's a patient. You know, it's like in.
So now we know what happened to Regan MacNeil in between the events of The Exorcist and Exorcist II: The Heretic.
You know what? That's true. Yes. Oh my God! And what this big bad. Wow, that's actually pretty good. I have to say that's
well played.
Well played. Yes. Very well played. Yes, very. I gotta give it to you. I like when people have good thought process and things, and that was a very good one. But
Yeah.
on to the next film, which is actually another airport film, and I think it's one of the better of 75, which is Airport 77.
Christopher
And
Lee's in this one.
yes, he is. Wait a minute. Oh, really? Okay, I didn't. Huh. See, I'm okay. I'm not even going to try to figure that one out. I'm trying to figure out, is that from
I
one
have
of
to
the?
check IMDb.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. But Airport 77, unlike Airport 75, it's a very unique. I think it's more unique than the previous airport film,
Mm,
uh, previous to it, because this came out in 77, of course, and of course the other one came out in 75. Blah blah. That's of course the year, but
yeah.
it is probably the first. It is another example of man-made disasters in terms of it puts a little bit of not so much a Die Hard aspect before Die Hard was a thing. It puts in this plane which is owned by what's his name, not just James Stewart. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
he's a billionaire, and he is doing some one last thing. He's taking all his collectibles of what he's collected over the years, and he's flying on this particular plane, and people are invited, or big spenders, whatever. And like I say, these hijackers or just basically they're thieves, kind of like
Yeah.
the Die Hard motif. Like I say, they are stealing because of money, you know. And it's just
Of
interesting
course.
that this is a film way before, years before Die Hard, at least a decade before Die Hard, and
Right.
they're stealing these collectibles to pawn off for money.
Mm,
But unfortunately, their greed gets the best of them because they get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, and and then I have to say this is another brilliant effects work done with both miniatures, but um it's another film that was done with matte paintings by Albert Whitlock, you know.
yeah.
And it's such a grand thing of knowing that this is a film where these thieves, they get lost. When I say they make themselves lost, and they pretty much, they think they got away, but unfortunately, fate steps in and says like, "You're not getting away with that easy, bitch." You know,
No.
they hit. Dude, this is like I say, this is at the time when filmmaking is like, use your imagination to do something different. The plane is flying and they hit this oil rig, that just the tip of it, and it's
Uh,
enough to knock it down, you know, throw it off course, and it crash lands into the ocean, and of course sinks. And
yeah.
this is where the real drama of this film comes into play, because you're underwater, the plane is underwater, and you're going to get pretty much screwed over by the pressures of water with this
Yeah.
particular story. But, and I should mention that this film came out, of course, the same year that another particular film would re-energize the whole entertainment motif anyway. And
Mm,
it was a little film, because we mentioned his name before, done by Mr. George Lucas. But I won't say the name because I'm pretty sure y'all know what the name of the picture is. But with that, what was your thought process on this, and when was the first time you actually just sat and watched this particular
yeah.
film?
The first time I saw this, it was actually a couple years ago, and it was the TV broadcast. It actually had extra scenes with
Yeah,
George Kennedy and James Stewart, which are absent on the DVD that I got in the
yeah,
airport box set. So it was interesting to see these two versions. The TV version definitely felt more like a complete movie and actually gave those two characters a lot more to do rather than just be standing off to the sidelines, where I feel was the biggest weakness in this one. But this one, this is to me is where the airport movies just became more and more absurd with the overall execution. But the part that always gets me cracked up is when the rescue team gets out, when the Navy and such get out to sea in the Bermuda Triangle. There's an aerial shot where they just see the silhouette of the plane that's already submerged, yet they can see it from that high in altitude. I'm thinking, oh great, we're not even trying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, because I cannot stop seeing parallels to Thunderbirds, this one is from Operation Crash Dive. So an airliner crashes into the ocean, and in the show, they actually cut off the engines to allow the aircraft to float up. Here, they attach inflatable rafts, which also makes the aircraft float up. So again, I'm seeing, okay, seriously, who's been watching Thunderbirds and who's been putting them into these movies? Because this is too much to be a coincidence now. Everyone says, oh, that's just me reading way too much into it. Maybe. That may be the neurodivergent part of my brain, but if you've seen the series, then you watch the airport movies, you cannot say that one is very much on the nose similar to the other. But overall, this one is, to me, it's a bit more tongue-in-cheek fun than serious, as opposed to the others. And again, Christopher Lee in this movie, he has a scene where he's, oh, I'm a very good swimmer. I have a silver medal and I can hold my breath underwater for X amount of time. Then the cargo bay door opens. Then the water comes rushing in, and immediately he's dead. Okay, fine, yeah, build up that character to something great and just kill him off the moment you open the door. Why not? Brilliant. Great. Just really looking forward to seeing Dracula being killed in an aircraft submerged in the Bermuda Triangle.
It's like, we're done. It's like, hey, well, he mentioned this, but yeah, we're gonna sacrifice this fool. It's like, we're done.
Literally.
Wow. And it's interesting that because I'll ask you this. This, when I first saw this film, it was the TV version, the extended cut, and I feel that you're right. I mean, because when I did see the theatrical version of this, it seemed like I wish those minutes, because it's like 70 minutes, basically almost a whole other movie taken out that was put into the television version. I'm wishing they could have put that. I wish they could have put that on the DVD. Be honest with you, I wish they could have put that on there, because I would love to see that all blend together. And as you say, I feel like it's more complete with that than just the because it's like, yeah, you got. I mean, which I understand, time and everything, but I feel like with that, you really get a more flushed out character of what's going on with these people going on. I feel that's what it boils down to. Second here. Well, trust me, we're gonna get to that by the very end. Are you talking about the airport films or the disaster films we're talking in general? I'm thinking it's talking about the airport films. I think that's what he means, but you let me know. But no, I wish they would do like I say, a what you call extended cut of this. It's like check me. Oh, what up? Let me see. He says check my messages.
You see it. Yeah, so I see it too.
Excuse me, folks. I'm gonna have to hold on. Let me take my camera out, because I'm this. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is whoa. This. Oh my.
Wow.
You look. Wow. If you wow. This wow. Oh my god. This is. Wow. Okay. The first photo, okay, one. Oh my god. Oh my lord! It's oh god. Okay,
Oh
you're
my god. The second one. The second one.
look. The second one. Look, now I don't look. I the second one is a little. I mean, I the second one is okay. It's the first one that makes me look like, it's like okay, I look really cartoonish, and then the professor is looking like, very. No, oh
um
my,
but yeah, the second one.
oh god.
Just how much of a swivel is on that head? Because I'm pretty sure that would be
Right,
off
my
the
dude, my head is like, it's like I have to turn. It's like what? Oh my god. Okay, I'm okay. Okay. You
Oh,
okay, you killing me. You killing me, Kevin. You killing me.
this this whole stream has been sabotaged. It's becoming.
Yeah. Well, look. I told you, man-made disasters that come to place. It's gonna haunt you some kind of way. Man is his own device of his own destruction. So
This is the next disaster movie. Someone having a live stream, then
oh
some
god.
off-air random bullshit happens,
Wow,
and everyone
that's
just completely loses it on stream, and a huge disaster occurs
oh
because
god,
of it.
bro. I'm sorry. That was oh god, that's brilliant. That's
Oh,
oh. Anyway, Kevin says he was talking about the airport film. So
oh.
we haven't got to it yet. But out of the 4 airport films, which one is your favorite out of all?
Right. I have to rate the first and the fourth one. The first one because it's the more serious of the 4, and the fourth one because it's just absolutely absurd.
Okay.
And that's it. So yeah, the first one, brilliant. The fourth one, just wow. If you haven't seen it, then it's one of those movies that has to be seen to be believed.
See.
Putting it lightly.
And I have to say, with me, yes, my first, like I say, the first one definitely number 1, whereas the number 2 one would be this one, which is Airport 77. And not to say that Airport 79 isn't, up there, but I feel like it's far absurd than 77. And Big Bag says, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
you're funny, Big Bad, you really are. Oh God, okay. Moving on, because I know this is moving on. Okay. Now, granted that most people have probably never heard of this film, but since I am a child of the 70s and 80s, but mostly the 70s, this film here, I don't even know if you've even heard of this one, but it is on the echelon of disaster films, and it's got the very spectacular title of Roller Coaster. And I don't think most people have heard of this one, but it ranks up in there of disaster, but it's more of a, as I say, it's more of a Hitchcockian, more, suspense kind of disaster film. And all I'll say is that it's a disaster film dealing with a guy who's sabotaging, not Ferris wheels, but the carnival fairs, where he bombs these, roller coasters, and believe it or not, they did film one of the main roller coasters in a real theme park, So I don't, but I mean, I'm mentioning it, but I'm pretty sure you probably never heard of this one. If you have, all I'll say is this: you give it a whirl if you can find it somewhere free, because it's not well known. It's really not well known. I only found out about it when I was a kid back in the early 80s, and saw it just randomly watching something with my brother and my mom. And I started watching it, just like, it's like, wow, this guy is ruthless, where he, is bombing these, and he this shows how much the guy is kind of off his rocker because he's bombing these particular rides, and I just can't think of anything about hold up a second. It's wait a minute. What is
Literally anything.
That's yeah, back then they did with anything, and I'm just like roller coasters want to be one because I know when I first saw this, when I first heard about it, it's like, really, this is what we're making this out of. And
Yeah.
oh, you know what, I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good point. Yes, oh my god, hold up.
Of course.
Did you ever see
got one about a bus? Of
Dude.
course they have.
Oh god, I mean the big bus and it. Hold up a second. Let me.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Okay, I'm gonna put this on the. Hold on, I'm gonna put this on the big. I'm gonna put this on the big screen here. Hold up a second, because I gotta show this to people. Hold up, people. Look at. Hold on. In fact, I'm gonna turn my light off here. Look at. Hold up. Oh, I turned. Yeah. Oh, come on, you. Look at that, folks.
Yeah.
If you can see it, yes.
Wow.
Look at that. Wow. And I'm actually at that age where I am too old for that shit. Oh my God. Okay, let me get you back on the screen, son. Yes. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on, because like I say, if you haven't seen this film, check it out. All I'll say is that it's one of those films like watch it once, move on. It ain't that big of a deal. But wait a minute. Yes, I know. I'm almost 60, homie. So yes, I'm definitely too old for this. I'm too old for getting my ass handed to me. Anyway, you gotta remember, I'm the old dog here. I'm the old dog. So actually, I'm definitely too old for this shit. I would never imagine myself at this point in life saying that, but here I am. So again, moving on. Okay, get that off here. Get that damn thing off. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh. All I know is I'm having a good time. So that's what makes it. And
that's what matters.
And good old Jake says no comment. Thank you, Jake.
Of course, there's no comment from Jake.
Oh God. Okay. Moving on. We're going with which is a sequel to one of the films previously we talked about, and that is Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, another Irwin Allen production. And I'm not sure if you've seen this one, Professor, or have you ever heard of it?
No, this is news to me. I had no idea that the original even had a sequel.
It did. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is just blowing my mind.
Yes, and you mentioned something about, I think you mentioned Michael Caine, but yes, Michael Caine, Sally Field, Telly Savalas are all in this film. Okay, still keeping up with the motif of big name, stars, and they have this particular movie, and again, it's a sequel. But it's one of those sequels where I say it's not as good as the original. So I don't know if you ever, like I say, if you never saw it, yeah, just check it out once. And Kevin says, yeah.
What the?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, let me.
If you've never seen The Big Bus, Professor, yes, it does. Yes. And what's funny is I saw The Big Bus before Airplane.
I'm trying to process two things. First of all, the fact that the original Poseidon Adventure had a sequel. Second, there's... Wait, bring that up again.
What's that? Oh, about... Wait a minute. Come on, get up there. Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, a bus
Read
that
it.
has. Right. So, just to make sure I've racked my head around this, there's a bus that has transcendental engineering, like the TARDIS does,
Hmm.
has a casino and a swimming pool
Hmm.
all on board, and it's an actual disaster movie. Like this isn't a joke that someone's putting. This is an actual movie that exists.
Just to give you an idea, this was all, and look, this was during the time when everything was done practically. It was all they actually built a big bus, literally built a big bus, and it, like I say, it you have to look it up. I kid you not. And
Wow.
yes, I remember that. Oh yeah, I definitely remember that one. And he
That
says,
one I do know
"Oh God, here."
of. Let's see what images this is.
I'm afraid to even look.
Um. Oh. Oh.
Yes, and the big bus came out in '76.
Okay.
Yes, so
Okay. Now looking at this. All right. Now I can accept that there can be a casino on board this thing.
yes,
But,
see,
and it's what? Oh yeah, this
yes,
is a
nuclear
turbocharged.
powered bus. Remember this?
It's nuclear powered.
Yes,
Well, no
yes.
wonder why everyone on public transport has radiation sickness these days. They have
There
nuclear
you
powered
go.
buses, for God's sake. Wow.
Yes, I mean, look, I'm glad that Kevin brought this up because I had totally taken that out of my mind because it's a pair. Because think about it, it came out as a parody to the previous films, Earthquake, Tower Inferno, and Airport, but yes, and go figure, Airplane would ranch it up. And the funny thing is, this film is not well remembered, The Big Bus. And the funny thing is, it was produced by the same studio as Airplane.
From
And I'm just like,
Paramount.
yeah, I'm like, what in the world, And look, I will never know, brother. Look. All I know is I saw the movie on television. All I know is I saw it on television, and as a kid, when you see it, and this, like I say again, this is before I saw Airplane. You see it on television, and you see all these things working. I mean, some of us saw it on stage and everything, but this bus was a working environment with all these things, with the casino, with the flat, all this stuff, all of it. So
Wait,
all
was
I'll
the
say
pool?
is, if you decide to watch this, Daniel, bear in mind it's a parody. It's a comedy. It's not taken seriously. Okay. But
Right.
everything that you see on screen is a working function vehicle. Okay.
Okay. Now, one more question about this before we move on.
Sure.
Is the pool on the bottom or the top deck of the bus?
I believe it's on the top. In fact, it is on the top. It's on a It's on a bubble top of the main
Oh,
set. Yeah.
of course, it would be on
Not
the
at the,
top
at the
deck,
bottom.
and it
It's
would
on the
have a
top.
sunroof over it. Of
It's not the
course, it would. Of course, it would.
Yes, in fact, what's yes, because yes, it's the top deck. Yes, and it's a yeah. I think you ought to. I mean, because they're all considered disaster films, but they're very comedy driven. Yeah, exactly. I totally forgot about the big bus. I mean, when he brought it up, I was like, someone knows about the big bus. It's like, yes, and if you didn't know, Daniel, now you know.
And here
It's
I was
yes.
thinking it would be a London double-decker red bus that has a catastrophe on London Bridge. The moment I heard that title, that was the first thing that came to mind. Then I
Mhm.
look at this whatever this is I'm looking at, this nuclear powered thing.
Contraption, yes. And
Wow.
it literally, and like I say, it is like a double-decker bus, but much bigger. And they built this thing from the ground up. They really built it, and it ran.
Wow.
So, anyway, moving on to another disaster. I'm thinking we're talking about disaster films. We're not going to get into something humorous, but you know what? Hey, we're having fun. We'll keep that in mind. Another Irwin Allen production, and you mentioned this earlier, and I think it's pretty decent. He sent you some more. He sent you some more. You're gonna love it, I know. Whatever it is. The Swarm.
Oh,
which I have to say is it's actually pretty decent because this film came out at the time when bees was a thing. You know, it was another film that dealt with bees, but this one was a little bit more affected. And I don't know if you saw the extended cut of this film, because this is an extended cut. This movie runs over 2.5 hours long. The cut, but then again, it's like I don't think you need that much of a extended cut to make a grand thing about bees are attacking. You know, it's like we don't need all that. And you really? Oh, really?
No, Kevin.
You never heard of this? I'm surprised you have. I haven't, Kevin. Yeah.
Oh boy.
You got to remember.
Okay, we all have movies to add to our watch lists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we all have. So, yeah.
The only reason why I know about it because, like I say, I'm too old for this shit, and I'm the old dog in this pound, so I know about this stuff. So it's only natural that I would know about it, you know. But yes, Irwin Allen took a concept and made a disaster film dealing with killer African bees, and somehow these African bees they're mutated, basically. Yeah. So I'll wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta have fun with them. You will.
Definitely, Kevin.
But I'm assuming that you have seen this before. So
yeah, I saw the theatrical cut online many years ago when it was on YouTube.
All right. So what is your all thought press on it? You know, despite what it is.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Concept wise, great concept.
Mm-hmm.
Execution, it's really there for the bees and for the special effects. There isn't much in terms of characters because they just exist. The characters, and Michael Caine's character, I get that he's an expert on the killer bees, but I can tell that it was really just for a paycheck. You know,
true.
And that's really why. At least that's what it feels like to me. That's why he's there. He's there for a paycheck. And then seeing Jaws: The Revenge afterwards, it makes sense why the shark wanted to eat him. The shark watched the swarm, and then it saw Michael Caine. It's like, okay, you were against African killer bees. Now you're against a great white shark in the Bahamas. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and eat you so you won't have to suffer through this any longer than all of us have to.
Yeah,
yeah, this movie. Again, great concepts, but some of it hasn't aged all that well. And there are some dialogue, lines of dialogue that haven't aged all that well either, and can be very easily taken out of context. Like the general, he refers to the bees as the Africans, because that's the genus, Africanized killer bees. Instead, he doesn't actually call them killer bees, just calls them the Africans. So it's like the war against the Africans is now under military jurisdiction. So like, okay, so to anyone who has no context, you're declaring war on Africa. Oh dear.
Somebody would take that out of context. And
Yeah.
if we remember very well, this was at a time when
Mm.
social climate between different people,
Yeah.
because Vietnam had
Politics
just
and whatnot.
ended, and yeah, and that, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's like fortunately for me, I'm not that kind of person, but others would be like, "What the fuck you saying, dude? Really? That's what you're honing in on, But
Yeah.
no, it's all around. It's insane knowing that this film got made, and I will say this too. That's another thing.
It's definitely more on the ludicrous side of
Yeah,
disaster movies. It's not meant to be taken serious. It's it is what it is. It's a creature disaster movie, but
I
it's
think
very
yeah.
much on the cheesy side.
And I will say this a waste of. I mean, he does a good job, but I think it's a waste of composer Jerry Goldsmith's work.
Yeah.
I'm like, bruh, you could have done something else. I mean, you have done something else,
Hmm.
but he did this, and well,
Yeah. And
yeah,
this is the same composer who wrote the music for Alien,
yes,
and then we get The Swarm.
and truth be told, like, yeah, I mean, you hear the music in Alien, it's like, oh my god,
Mm.
it's very foreboding. This is like, yeah, okay, that's what that is. I'm
I
okay.
mean,
That's
everything about the movie feels very much by the numbers.
yes, it does. Okay,
Even the
that's.
miniatures feel by the numbers.
I will say now. I will say. I mean, I the nuclear power plant is like, okay, dude. No, I mean that's a kid's play set. Now
Literally.
the train miniature, I will say that was pretty top tier good design, because I didn't know that was a miniature until um, I saw behind the scenes of it, But yeah, I mean, some of the miniatures in there were, yeah, not too much to brag about, I have to say.
Mm.
But moving on, and I think this is less hurtful in the sense of disaster films. This is This is like the last one we'll talk about in terms of disaster film, and it's the last of the airport films. And this is the grand
Oh.
one of the one. It's the fastest one. It's the Concorde Airport 79,
Yeah.
And I have to say, you mentioned before how this film is kind of on the, just outlandish
Yeah.
side of it. I will give this movie a few points in recommendation. The
Mm.
score by Lalo Scott, I can't pronounce his name.
Schifrin. Yeah.
Skiffram, yes.
Yeah.
The score for this is very memorable. I
Mm.
love the score for this film.
Great
It's
composer.
yes, he did a very good job of giving a very very suspenseful, very like really really like getting your gut kind of feel of a film for because like I say, you're thousands, you're million miles above the earth, out trying to dodge things, dealing with, because the film is, it's kind of funny. The film doesn't deal with something that you would think it's been dealing. It's not dealing with so-called bank robbers or some plane hidden in there or anything. It's actually dealing with somebody who's trying to cover their ass,
Yeah.
and he's willing to kill hundreds just to cover it. I mean, it
Mm.
stars. I mean, we got George Kennedy back in the seat here, and he's
Yeah.
a
This
pilot.
time as a pilot. Yeah.
Yes, and of course Robert Wagner is in this picture, but he's a
Hmm.
corrupt business. I think what you call weapons designer, and
Yeah.
he's been outed by somebody that's telling his girlfriend that he's a shady individual, and
Mm.
he gives her important papers, and she's on the flight. And the only way to cover up this kind of motif, because she's a newscaster,
Yeah.
he's got to cover his ass. So what better way to cover your behind is, hey, take out the plane that's carrying the evidence that can frame you, that can
Yeah.
open up a can of worms on you. That to me is such a, I'm not gonna say so brilliant, but at the same time, it's very good, entertaining in terms of how you can bring this to light of knowing that that's because in hindsight,
Mm.
I have to say that's how some people in real life will do. They will
Yeah.
go to bat by killing thousands, maybe millions, just to
Yeah.
cover their own self worth. You know,
Yeah. And I
so
say that this is more on the ludicrous side because there are some unintentionally funny moments in this movie, especially when it comes to the dialogue. One of them is when the French captain, who is played by uh, Alain Delon,
yes,
yeah,
very good
he
actor.
and Captain Joe Petroni are in the captain's seat. Then one of the stewardesses comes in, and there's a little back and forth. And Joe Petroni's like, "They don't call it the cockpit for nothing, honey."
You know, I forgot about that particular movie. That's like, yes, it's like, wow, really, dude?
Yep.
Seriously?
I mean, it's such an out of pocket, off the cuff thing. You just can't help but be taken aback by it. It's like, yeah, it's not acceptable, but fucking hell, does it get a laugh out, or does it
Mhm.
get a laugh or two? And then during the interim, when they arrive in France, there's this whole subplot with Joe Petroni's wife from the previous films having passed away. He's now a widower. They then meet another woman who's, just by pure coincidence, is also a widow. And
Right.
just like Joe Petroni's character, she has a son who is going through college. And it turns out it was all a ruse. She was actually a hooker that the French pilot paid for her to have time with him. And it's like, what the hell? What
Mhm.
the?
And
Wow.
what's the
Okay.
but what is his response to that though?
And it was like, because my initial response was, "You set me up with a hooker?
Mhm.
I'm gonna kill you." But then it's just like, shit, man, you set me up with a hooker. I absolutely appreciate the hell out of you. It's like,
I'm like, what
okay.
the like? Really? It's like, gee, she
Yeah.
was great. I was like, really, dude? That's
Yeah.
you? Wow. I'm like, okay. I,
Wow.
I guess he hasn't gotten any in a long time, so it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, why not?
The Concorde.
Oh
Wow.
wow, that's mind blowing. But then at the
Yeah.
same time, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and look, this was the tail end of the '70s, so it
Yeah.
was it was coming to an end. You know, they did try to do some more, you know, kind of disaster films after, but it didn't have the
Yeah.
same kind of impact as some of these films have done. But
Yeah.
it goes without saying that at least we know that it was self-contained in an
Mm.
era where I feel it was best suited. Now we knew like years later, like especially in the '90s, there would be a rehashing of some ideas for disaster films, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually we got two volcano films, one alien invasion, and another seagoing ocean liner film that put me to sleep when I saw it.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that alone for another topic for someone else to discuss. But
Yeah.
overall, we're going to kind of rank these films, and I'll
Yeah.
just point out the ones that you've actually seen, and we'll go from there.
But
For me,
it just
I'll start. Yeah, I'll start with like I say, which one was that? That was. I'm gonna start with Roller Coaster because I feel like you haven't seen it, but I have. I'll just rank
mm,
this one as if you want to just spin the dial looking for something interesting, check it out. But after that, it's not even worth the time.
right.
So after the second viewing.
Right.
Now, as far as beyond the Poseidon Adventure, I know you haven't seen it, but for me, it's definitely low on the echelon because it's more. It's really more of a heist film. Okay,
Right.
it's kind of like what Die Hard is, only before Die Hard. And it's an interesting thing. There was a lot of Die Hard ideas back in the 70s, but it wouldn't really play out until the film itself come out. It's kind of
Right.
weird. Okay, so beginning with going backwards, the Concorde 79. What? How would you rank this one?
Let's see. So there's four. I probably rate this as the as second to last on the
Okay.
list because of the absurdity and I mean because of course the Concorde can perform a barrel roll and evasive maneuvers at supersonic speed against an incoming projectile on
Yeah.
a government contractor. Of course it can. Oh, and the contractor, because I've been watching a lot of NCIS when I was growing up in the early 2000s. Of course, the antagonist is Tony DiNozzo's father.
Oh my God, that's
Everything
right. That's oh my God,
Wow.
dude, you just oh my God, I forgot about that. That's right. That's his. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
so yeah. Oh, wow. No wonder the DiNozzo family's in trouble. One of them tried to block the Concorde, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God. You know what? I just got a oh my God, I just got a brain fuck right there. It's like fuck, that's okay, never mind. Yeah,
Oh.
okay. But continuing on what you was saying.
Right. A Concorde 77. Definitely more on the more ridiculous, going on ludicrous side of the disaster movie spectrum.
Mhm.
It does have some funny moments, and I would recommend it for those funny moments. But it is, if you want character drama or big spectacle, then it's not really going to be here. What will be here are just a little unintentionally funny moments that happen throughout the film. That's all I have to say on the Concorde 79. But great, great to see the actual aircraft, the actual Concorde on screen in a film. Definitely, considering its unfortunate end in the early 2000s.
True. All right. Now going to the next to next to, like I say, of the year. I mean, of the decade. The Swarm. Your
Oh,
overall.
that. This one, I'd have to put this below the Concorde, in my opinion.
Okay.
Great concept. Some very chaotic action sequences, especially when the extras, because you can tell that if you can't see the bees, then the actors are told to imagine, and they just deliberately throw themselves into oncoming traffic or through shop windows, just to highlight the chaos. Now, the actual bees themselves, when they interact with the actors, these are actually really very well directed, and credit to the actors who are actually covered in these bees, because
Yes.
I don't know if anyone was actually stung, but I mean, I commend them for having the bravery to be covered in these things if they were stung. But yeah, this is definitely definitely the low point on my list, I would have to say. Great cast, but a lot of wasted potential, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, hold up. Let me take it off the screen here. And all right. So, with that being said, we go to Airport 77. Your overall thoughts on that?
And this one I'd actually put above Airport 75 because because it actually feels, in some ways, I'm not quite sure if grounded is the right term of words, but it does feel a bit. It does feel like a step up from Airport 75.
Yeah.
Again, great selection of cast, great miniature effects, with the plane on the ocean floor. The TV version, I would actually recommend this over the theatrical version because it feels like a more
Same.
complete film. So whether you're watching it on TV or you actually find a recording of it somewhere out there in the ether, then I would definitely recommend that over the theatrical version. But if the theatrical version is all you have, I would recommend that too. But just know that the TV version has a lot more structure and a lot more of an emotional payoff at the end.
True. It does. That's I have to
Mm.
say that's a good point because it's yeah. I don't. I mean, hopefully one day they'll actually do that.
Oh
For
yeah,
the
I hope they
additional,
do.
because I would definitely buy that. I would definitely buy that for that. But moving on, and we mentioned this before. Airport. Oh, where is that? Here we go. We mentioned the aforementioned Airport 75. What's your overall thought? You say it's below 77, but
Yeah.
what's your?
Now again, great concept, great effects and action sequences.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure what it is about this one specifically, but I do feel that it's that Airport 77 was a step up from this one. This one feels like a one step down. It's not anything to do with the cast. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the word,
I wouldn't say that.
but I'm not sure. I just
And
can't put my finger on it.
an interesting thing about this film is that it was all done practically, all done in camera.
Yeah.
You actually use a real plane, to use real
Mm.
aircraft to do the things that they did in here. So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, like I say, I mean, there was no, there was like I say, there was no miniature work done in this film. So
No.
I'm not really sure, and I'm kind of like you, it's like it's not that bad. It's just that
Mm.
it's something that I feel like, it's something,
It, yeah,
you gotta, I think
it's
you gotta get,
missing something.
yes, it really is. I feel it is.
I
Yeah.
just can't put my finger on what it is, though.
And you might know, I mean, because because I can't really, I mean, I can say I'm thinking, but it's like, mm, and it's there, but it's like it's in the film. And the funny thing is, this film is not that long. It's like less than 2 hours long. So
Yeah.
it's I can't put my finger on it either. But
Mm.
hey, that's why I say this is why there's an element there, like the fifth element, and it's missing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Right.
what it goes down to. I don't know. But anyway,
Great analogy.
yeah, exactly. But going to the next one, the Tower
Oh,
Inferno.
now this is right at the very top of the list, along with Earthquake. No,
Okay.
no debate, hands down, top of the list with Earthquake. Great action pieces, great setup, great payoff, great performances, brilliant score by John Williams, and just
Yes.
all around fantastic 70s disaster.
Yes. I mean, this is definitely in fact, I'll say this one happens to be my top favorite of 70s disaster films because as mentioned, you mentioned about far Earthquake, it's like it's but I feel this one really is the top banana in terms of its style, its how it's brought out, and and the funny thing is, this movie is nearly a 3 hour long expo,
Oh, yeah.
filmmaking. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when it was broadcast on television, it's actually extra footage that they filmed for the original film that was never put on the theatrical cut. And if you ever find it, if you ever find the extra footage, I would recommend it because it fleshes out a whole bunch of things that was not put into the theatrical cut. Because when I saw the film originally on television, they had to do what you call a two-parter of it. They
Yeah.
showed one Patarka part one night and the rest the next night. And
Right.
it's like I say, and I'm not sure how much footage. I mean, how many minutes was it? It seemed like it was like maybe 40 minutes more footage to collect. But anyway, the bottom line is, if you ever get the chance to see the extended cut of this, I would recommend it because it has
Yeah,
so many outlining character developments that go on that you may have missed in the theatrical cut.
yeah,
Like,
because I think because they aired the TV cut in the stateside, but I
yes,
think for the UK, because I caught half of it on TV, I think they broadcast a theatrical cut, albeit they just left it as it was and just put in inserts for commercials. But no, because hearing this about what you're describing as a TV
mhm,
cut, that's piqued my interest in this version even more.
yes, because it's out there. I
Mhm.
mean, like I say, it did happen back in late '70s when they broadcast it for the first time, and all I know is yeah, it's a lot of, and for a person like me who was young at that time, it actually piqued my interest in seeing all that and seeing how people were interacting and how they were responding to certain things. It's like when I actually saw the film years later, I was like, where are these missing scenes? I wanted to see them,
Right?
but it wasn't there. And I was like, oh, that's why they did, because that's how they did those things back then to draw out the runtime on television.
Yeah.
They add these sequences that weren't in the original cut, put them in there for the television cut, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that's what they're showing. But if
Hmm.
you ever dig them up, see them somewhere, it's I know it's floating there. It's floating somewhere in social media, heaven, cloud somewhere. It's floating
Yeah,
somewhere. So
yeah, it's somewhere out there.
it's out there.
Yeah.
But moving on to another
Oh,
one, Earthquake. What's your ranking on that?
hands down, the absolute pinnacle, the holy grail of disaster movie cinema. No shadow of a doubt. This, as soon as you mention disaster cinema, this is the one that comes to mind first and foremost.
Okay.
Especially with me, and also my mum. She grew up watching this on
Yeah.
subsequent TV runs over in Britain, and of course, there's a very big nostalgia hit since our first trip was to the States was to LA, and of
Hmm.
course, this was actually filmed in LA, and being able to see the storm drains and the downtown
Those
streets,
actual
and
locations.
then yeah, and then crazy enough, Earthquake was actually playing on the TV in the hotel one night when we came home. So it's like we were just there.
Oh
We
my
were
god!
right there. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. And then going on to the Universal Studio tour, where they actually had the earthquake section on the tram, it's like,
Mhm.
wow, this is just. I mean, that's just one of the reasons why this is top of the list. And
Okay.
also, in terms of its place in cinema as well, this is a holy grail from special effects sequences, both practical and also in matte paintings. And
True.
and among his many credits, this is one of Albert Whitlock's best works with his matte paintings, including his others like Hindenburg, some of his Hitchcock productions, The
Yes.
Thing, Psycho 2, and many, many other movies that he's done matte paintings for. But this is also, I think, one of the most uh, underheard, uh, underheard scores by John Williams, along
Yeah.
with Inferno. If they were to actually release both of those soundtracks soon on physical CD, I would definitely get them. I would
Yeah.
be listening to those back to back.
Because I have to say, his score in this film, especially when you hear at the beginning, it has that
Hmm.
very droning sound, and then it just had that crescendo when the title of the film comes up, and it's like it grabs you, It's like
Yeah,
it's sad that it's sad that not many people recognize. I mean, remember this particular score. And when I found out that he actually scored this film years later, I was like, well, how is it that no one really remembers him? How come no one mentions it? But it
hmm.
is probably a very underrated score of his, because you got to remember he scored the Tower Inferno, which was much
Yeah,
much bigger, you know, score than this one, but still, it's very effective. You
Mm.
know, but
Yeah.
but as you say, hopefully one day they do put it on physical media and you can listen to it because it is up there with some of
Yeah.
his best work. So
Yeah. And it's movies like this because if you're familiar with Christopher Young, the film composer, before he did before his contributions to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, before he did Sinister and the first two Hellraisers, he scored a 80s movie called DEFCON 4. And
yes,
that soundtrack, if you listen to it, it's and this I have to say, with composers like Christopher Young and John Williams, their most earliest compositions are often the absolute best, along with their iconic ones like Jaws, awesome soundtrack, Star Wars,
mhm,
amazing soundtrack. Most of his Spielberg movies that he's worked with Spielberg and scored the music for, great scores. But Earthquake, Towering Inferno, they're just as great in my opinion. I
true.
actually put them on the same level as like Jurassic Park and all the others. It's the same thing with Christopher Young's score. If you listen to his earlier works from DEF CON onwards, and then
Right.
listen to his Spider-Man 3 score, it's fantastic to listen to.
And isn't it funny that his score for Spider-Man 3 is a little bit more? And I'm not downplaying Danny Elfman's
Mm,
two previous scores for the Spider-Man film, but isn't it kind of funny that that score is more abundant in terms of being played? Because
yeah.
when you ever see some memes on YouTube, it's like you hear
Yeah.
that stuff, bum, 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 bum. Like it's
Yeah.
always been played. It's like, and I was like, why is his? But then you think about it, it's like, well, it actually is more effective
Mm,
compared to the Danny Elfman's because, like I can say again, Danny Elfman's scores were not bad because they were actually brilliant, but
oh
seemed like
yeah.
Young's has a more like really grabbed you kind of feels thought process and what it does, and
Mm,
yes, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why I say physical media needs to be around. I mean, it's like don't
absolutely.
exactly there you go. You
Yeah.
know, but no, Christopher Young is like I say his score for that, and like I say what you mentioned with DEF CON, because like I say I didn't know that was him
Mm,
that was being played in a little bit in Godzilla 8 1985.
yeah.
The end score was well, it's actually played in the movie itself. It was from another film, you know.
Mm,
That kind of grabbed me, that kind of caught me, you know. So it's like, I mean, eventually I would know about it, you know. But it's like that shows how effective his music is, and to
yeah.
this day. And I'm just and sad that some people get lost in the fact like, oh, it's this is the score that's been done by this person, but who was behind some of the other pieces of cues that were involved with making this movie what it is,
Yeah.
But
And
it's
the
kind of sad.
crazy yeah, and the crazy thing is that when you hear music in one movie, then you hear the same music in another film, like for instance, again, Godzilla 85. Some
Mhm.
of Christopher Young's scores actually complement both the original Japanese soundtrack as well as the visuals.
Yes,
It's it's so unexpected, but it fits so perfectly.
that's the reason why it was like it took me so long to figure out that that was a different composer that I'm here because I'm thinking it's the same composer who
Mm,
did the score. I thought it was the same one. It turns
yeah,
out it's like, oh, this someone else incorporated that music into this particular cut. So it's not unheard of, and
mm,
thankfully, you and I and others get to, pretty much be fans enough to say, okay, this is what we're looking at, and we become fans from this, you know.
yeah.
So that's what it boils down to. But but anyway, was no next to the last. I'm sorry, next to the last. Poseidon Adventure. The Poseidon Adventure. Your
Now
ranking.
this, now this one I'd have to rank right underneath the Towering Inferno and before Airport, the original.
Okay.
Great cast, great effects, and
Mhm.
just a really classic movie overall. Also one of the best disaster movies, along with Earthquake and all the Earthquake and Towering Inferno.
Okay. Well, then that's pretty much. And I think for me, it's like it's kind of like right there below. Because I told you, Tower Inferno is like at the top, whereas this one is like below Earthquake. It's and Earthquake is not number two. It's actually number three for me. But yeah, I feel like it can say it's still up there, and it's still got what it takes to be what you call a great disaster film. But overall, it boils down to knowing that what you like in terms of film quality and how it's structured, story wise, character driven, how it's done, and hopefully people who watch it, get a satisfaction of watching that what they're
Yeah,
watching. So on to the last one, which is the original Airport. You already mentioned that it's actually
mm.
below or above. Um,
it's
it's below,
actually
but
yeah,
it's
it's
below.
actually below the first Airport.
Okay, there you go. All right. Yes.
And this one I like because of the human drama. It's one of the strongest uh, character-led disaster movies from the
Mhm.
70s, and it also again has huge nostalgia uh, for me. And actually being able to see this from start to finish in its entirety, I really do have a appreciation as to how the concept of this works in a disaster movie formula. And it also reinforces the point that not all of the disasters are acts of nature or sleight of
Right.
hand accident. Some of them can be deliberate or intentional.
And for me, like I say, it's I've mentioned before how, and maybe this is the reason why I'm so in love or have such a film lover, because my mom did the Inception thing while I was still in her womb, and seeing this film while she was still pregnant with me must have like energized my brain to say I'm going to love films of all kinds. I mean, I'm going to hate some but love others, and
Mm,
this one is actually it's like right underneath the Tower Inferno, because as you mentioned, it's got such a great cast, it's got such a great dynamic, character driven aspect to it, and I feel that films like this, and we got to remember, this is the grandfather, or say godfather, of all 70s disaster films.
yeah.
And it's such a grand thing to know that even to this day, as you and I are talking about it, we realize that how much of these films has inspired us, you know, made us fans, and how it's inspired other artists, because let's, like I say, when the 90s came up, it re-energized a lot of disaster films at that time. It actually did some stuff in the 2000s, some like, I mean, with Roland Emmerich when he did the day after tomorrow, and of course at the end of that year he did 2012, which I have to say, 2012, as insane as that film is,
It's also kind of decent.
it is that kind of decent. I actually kind of appreciate. I mean, yeah, some people say it's like this is what the f is that? Truth be told, it checks all the boxes of
Mm.
characters. They're behind the scenes. What's going on with them, and there's little story, little quirks. All those things. It shows how it's influenced future filmmakers, even though some of these things may not be so well received. It still holds up. And like I say, these films that we talked about here, which are
Yeah.
basically these driven, it I can really say it really formed the 70s in a way, because I mentioned before that like sound, like a composer, like what they do. Each decade has their own signature, and like this one, this excuse me, the decade was definitely worth what it was given with these films and how they mold. And like I say, for you and me, we're still fans of the genre, and that's the thing right there. It created its own genre, disaster films. Go figure. It's still all around, still hanging in there. But before we end this, your overall thoughts on disaster films in terms of its style and what it's given us.
I think disaster films they carry a certain charm.
Mhm.
They take subject matters and they approach them from so many different angles. Some of them they have aged pretty well. Some of them have stood the test of time, like Towering Inferno and Four Bucks.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
uh,
well, there are bugs in some of the disaster films, but yes.
yeah. Now, some of them are instant. Some of them are, I would say, are instant classics, like Poseidon, the first airport, Earthquake, and Towering Inferno. Others, they're for a choice of words, interesting, like The Swarm. For a choice of words, disaster movies. They're a point in time where really filmmaking was sort of experimenting a bit more with the whole disaster formula, as it were. Although they have made very early disaster movies earlier on, like in 1930s, they made a disaster movie about the flooding of San Francisco.
Right.
I don't remember exactly the name of it, but I do remember the effects wise. It was black and white. It was all miniatures filmed in a water tank, and actually had scale size reconstructions being destroyed by flooding water techniques.
Okay.
Disaster movies of the 70s, they are definitely worth looking at and also definitely worth preserving. They have their charm, they have their place in history, and overall, I would absolutely recommend anyone who's never seen or heard of disaster movies like the original Poseidon Adventure or the airport movies or the Towering Inferno. Again, now there is that saying that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Like if you look at, say, for instance, New Image Studios in the early 2000s, they did a series of movies called Nature Unleashed, where they
Mm.
took the disaster movie format from films like Avalanche and, of course, Earthquake, but they made the mistake in making them action movies by having the main disaster itself be the antagonist, which doesn't work. If you have to bend the laws of science, physics, and what else to justify the antagonist being a natural disaster, the answer is just don't do it. It's not going to work.
Mm.
But yeah,
But you already
that's
know
hmm.
that some filmmakers are gonna um,
And
not.
some already have.
Yes.
Hmm. Some already have. But definitely, the original disaster movies, there is no topping them whatsoever. I would absolutely recommend them in a heartbeat.
Cool. Well, see, that's the whole point of this particular podcast is discussion of certain ones and just knowing that how much they have hit us so hard because I mentioned before there were films that were done overseas that were doing disaster wise, but that I feel that that's a topic for another time because they have their own, as I said before, unique signature, whereas
Hmm.
these American ones really honed in something that it's a love letter to just film lovers or film goers of all kinds, and I'm glad to say that I'm still a fan of these things, so but otherwise that was pretty much a good discussion, and thank you, Mr. Miller, for joining me on this crazy gondola insanity, considering we had people creating our own disaster, telling us things about the big bus and all that stuff. Wasn't seeing that coming out of nowhere, but that's in a way that's how disasters happen. You just never see them coming. It just happened out of the blue. But that being said, what do you have as far as content coming up in the future wise?
Content wise, I am working on a double feature retrospective on which is very Godzilla centered, and Godzilla 85 does make a appearance in that retrospective. Mm-hmm. But it ends on a very hypothetical what if scenario, which I want to keep under wraps until it's probably finished. Other things I'm working on, of course, is more of my short stories. I want to get back into writing those, and also want to get back into making stop motions in the future, since I've now got some more little mini gashapons. I want to try something with those in the future when I get time to.
Because I was going to say, before you go, I've missed those little stop motion, anecdotes that you do. I was like, that's a creative thing he was doing. And it's like I kind of missed that. Hopefully you can get back into doing that.
Oh, I definitely want to get back into doing it, and I will definitely be coercing myself to do so.
Cool. All right then. Well, as far as me personally, I do have something coming up this week where I'm going to be joining with Mr. Sci-Fi Century. We're going to be discussing, I think, Planet of the Monster. It's one of the Gamera films. I'm thinking what is it? Gamera versus Ferris. I think it's coming up this Friday. And most likely I'll do a review on the latest Spider-Man film, Brand New Day, because I'm going to go see that this coming Friday. I'll definitely do that. And also this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's this Saturday we'll do it. Since I'm officially co-host with DJ Anubis on Vintage Film Code. I think that's what it's called now. I'm officially that when we're going to be discussing a film called Boondock Boys. I think it's
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints. Thank you. Correct me. Thank you. Yeah, Boondock Saints. Yes, we're going to be discussing that. And Oh, well, he did. Oh, okay. Virus. Yes. Thank you. Yes, we're going to be discussing that. And pretty much after that, because next month I will practically be a void. Basically, because since I work for the school board, I've said this times before. Since I work for the school board, school will be starting soon, and I will be doing a whole bunch of delivering. I won't be really have a chance to really come up with content. As far as, when I say won't come up with content, I won't be able to produce the content. But that's why I say August will be a kind of a void. But the next following month, which is in September, I will be kicking a lot of dust with the start of, I'm not sure what it is. There'll probably be a special presentation that I'm going to do. But further down the line in September, I will be doing my 75th anniversary of Robert Wise's The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I'm hoping that, I know some people are going to want to join me for that, but that'll be a good discussion. But other than that, I won't be doing anything particularly in August. So if anyone's expecting me to do something or have something come out that month, I mean, it'll probably be on someone else's channel. But as far as on my particular channel, you won't see anything. So just FYI, and don't be disappointed if you think that I'm just not doing anything. No, it's not. I'm not doing anything because I don't want to. It's because I won't have the time, because I'm going to be busy as all giddy up. And that's the reason why. But anyway, hey, that's life. We go on, we move on. And like this particular broadcast, I am so glad we did this, Professor. It was fun. It was hilarious with the little things people said in the comments. I thank y'all. Y'all
Yeah.
just made this a little bit more better for me. And I thank you for that. I appreciate you guys for that. Yes, exactly. But other than that, though, hopefully you had a good time, Professor. I know I did. And like I say, we'll do something else in the future, but whatever that is, hopefully you're on board, and we'll just keep kicking rocks, as the saying goes, you know. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I'll close out as I always say by saying, y'all take care. Y'all please be patient. And what we discussed with the disaster films, keep the film legacy alive, because if you don't, it'll never die. Take it easy.